Welcome back to the Gridiron Grind with Andrew and Lance. Today we're going to talk about the men in purple, the good guys beating the fake America's team. I got a lot to talk about, a lot of takes. But first, I want to hear Lance's true opinion on nine, on JJ McCarthy. How do you feel about him after his seventh start?
Um, that was a great win, Andrew. I'm really happy I mean, selfishly, that was great. Thank you so much. That was such a great gift to
We
the
pretty
Eagles.
much eliminated the Cowboys. We pretty much eliminated. I know they have like a 1% chance. Eagles have to lose out. Cowboys have to win out for them to win the division, but we pretty much eliminated them.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great win. And I mentioned this to our friends, but for the record, the Gridiron Grind podcast has been of the opinion that JJ McCarthy could be a starter and a legitimate contender if the
Hmm.
pieces were built to make it happen. And that's what you saw on Sunday. That was a good game. I think that JJ McCarthy has more to explore as a quarterback. I'm trying to remember what his stat line was. Because if I remember right, yeah, I remember the game wasn't necessarily like eye-popping stats, and that's not what was impressive to me. It was the throws, it was the composure,
Hmm.
it was the demeanor. Um, I mean, it felt like every big moment in that game that the Vikings were able to come up with big either stops or big first downs. There's that fourth and
Yep.
one um,
Hmm. On the goal line.
where, yeah, and that was really great. But the other one too, I was going to mention is the one at the end of the game where they were
Hmm.
where they were supposed to punt the football, but instead they went for it on fourth and one and chewed even more clock up.
Hmm.
Um, both of those instances, great moments. But you got to love the ceiling that JJ McCarthy's offering. I think you're starting to see what you could get from him long term, right? Is that how you're feeling?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, I'll get into all his stuff. I'm saving him for last, but we have one, and I said that beginning of the year. I knew we had one, and I knew he would have some roller coasters. This is his first year playing football in the NFL. It's going to take some time. It's a different speed, different game than college, and he only played 2 years of college, barely any pass attempts. So I'll get in all that. I'm going to start with special teams in this game. So the better kicker in this game showed it. Will Reichard outplayed Brandon Aubrey. Um, Brandon Aubrey missed those two really, I mean, those were fairly easy field goals. They weren't like 60 yarders. One was 51, one was like 49 or something like that. He missed two field goals. But it's uncharacteristic of him. But not a lot of people know a whole lot about Will Reichard. I want to give him his props. He
Mm.
was one of the biggest recruited kickers ever in college when he went to Alabama. And he is like this kicking prodigy where he was going to kicking school when he was like middle school. He was going to kicking camps for not soccer, for football, for American football, going to kicking camps for that. And looking at his stats this year, he is 24 for 26. His two misses, one, a cable got in the way, if you remember that kick, and another, he was being rushed out right before halftime to kick like a 53-yard field goal, and the referee didn't have time to get the kicking ball out there. It was still the regular football, and his kick came up like 1 yard short, and you can see the like the stare on his face is like, how was that short? He didn't understand because it was right down the middle. It was only perfect, but it was like just a little 1 or 2 yards short, and the difference in the football could really affect that because a kicking football is different. It can travel further. And those were his two misses all year. It was a cable and the wrong football. I mean, other than that, he's perfect. He's 9 for 11 from 50 plus with a long of 62. And that 62 yarder could have probably gone 70. I've always liked him since we drafted him. I just didn't know how strong of a leg he had. I thought he was going to be like nails from 55 and under, but those deep ones, I was like, I don't think he's got the leg, but he's proved me wrong this year. He's got a great leg. So props to Will Reichard. That 50, like 4 yard field goal there in the fourth quarter basically sealed the win. It was a clutch moment. It was a lot of pressure in that moment, and he just nailed it. And I just love JJ McCarthy on the sidelines. He was doing that Carmelo Anthony like three thing on the head because it was 3 points, and Will Riker nailed it. And Will Riker did the same thing back to him. It was awesome. Um, I just love McCarthy swagger, and we'll get into that. But give O'Rourke props. He's been awesome. He does need to quit kicking kickoffs out of bounds. He had an out of bounds kick. I was like, yeah, that's not what we need right now. But as far as field goals, he's been awesome. Um, Now I want to get to the defense, which played fine. Didn't play amazing, but it did what it had to do. It was bend but not break football against a great offense. I mean, the Cowboys at home were averaging over 30 points a game, and we held them under their average. Can't complain about that. But it seemed like between the 20s, Dak and the run game were just kind of getting little chunks here, little chunks there. But when we got in the red zone, we clamped down and we shut it down. They didn't score. I mean, we have not given up a passing touchdown in 5 weeks. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but
Hmm.
no passing touchdowns in 5 weeks. I think since the Lions game have we given up a passing touchdown. We've given up some run game and some running touchdowns. Like they scored three rushing touchdowns against us. No, two rushing touchdowns, excuse me. Javante got one and Malik Davis got one. But we have not given up a passing touchdown in 5 weeks. Our defense has been locked down in the red zone. Run defense needs to improve a little bit. They averaged 4.8 yards carry on us. They had 138 total rushing yards. It's a little concerning, but not bad, especially against a really good offense. And they have a good offensive line. They were pushing us around, getting holes. Dak Prescott had 294 yards passing, but a lot of that was junk time. I think when the game was pretty much done, he had 252, only 2 yards above McCarthy. I was like, okay, we kept him in check enough. And Dak's one of the one of the savviest quarterbacks in this league. I'm not gonna say he's one of the best, but he's one of the savviest. He knows what he's doing. He can run an offense. He's got skill. He's got talent. He's got a lot of playmakers. CeeDee Lamb was 6 for 111 on 10 targets. But George Pickens we shut down. And I thought that this was a George Pickens game because he's great at that one-on-one jump ball and he's great with those little quick slants. And that's two things that the Vikings defense is kind of weak against because we give up one-on-one. We have singled up corners all the time with as much pressure as we bring. But George Pickens, he only got 6 targets, 3 catches for 33 yards. And a couple of those were like little quick bubble screens. So I think our defense overall played good enough to win. We only got 2 sacks, no turnovers, but we were bending and not breaking all game long against maybe the best offense in the NFL. It's definitely top three. It's up there. And they came to play. They did what they had to do to let our offense have a chance. And they were put in a bad position because right out the gate, that interception, that tip ball, they were put on like the 40-yard line and they stopped them on like basically a three and out. But they had that got to give credit to the Cowboys. That was a fantastic fake field goal. That was well done. I was like, wow, I did not see that coming. And and honestly, Brandon Aubrey probably made the wrong play because he had that tight end going behind our linebacker wide open. That would have been an easy touchdown. But he wanted to make sure he got that first down, and he did. But that was a phenomenal play because you don't think Brandon Aubrey's not going out there to kick a field goal. And it was, great job, Cowboys. That was awesome. I was like, wow, this is how this game's going to go. Interesting. Okay. But it didn't go that way. Now I want to get to the coaching before I finish with JJ McCarthy. I think Kevin O'Connell this is week 15 for like 12 weeks because there was one week he coached pretty well, but we just didn't execute. But for 12 weeks his coaching hasn't been great. It's been very suspect. His play calling's been like, what are we doing here? And developing players and some of his like fourth down decisions, like, what is this? But the past 2 weeks, he has called basically a flawless game. And I think this game was his best play calling game of the entire season. It was awesome on offense. There was a drive in the third quarter where I was excited to watch it because he was aggressive. He wasn't settling. I think there was like a couple like key third down plays that you could just get 3 yards here. No, he was calling plays to hunt downfield, trusting his quarterback because the only way you're going to develop someone is if they actually, try to execute, try to play, not just sitting there. All right, let's throw a little bubble screen. Let's run the ball. You're not going to be developed that way. And I don't understand why there's a lot of commentators wanting the Minnesota Vikings offense to be very dumbed down, very basic. I could understand starting that way, but you have to build up. And they did that this game. They started out kind of, run the ball, little quick passes. But that drive in that third quarter, they were hunting. And McCarthy was reading the defense perfectly. He was getting it out, big chunk plays. This play calling this game was awesome. That 4th and 1 at the goal line. I mean, this was the first time all season, and there's a show I watch called Purple Daily where one of the guys said he almost cried when he saw it because he's been begging for it all year, where they went jumbo on 4th and 1 in the goal line, where they had our backup left guard eligible as a tight end. It was beautiful. It was big people, power football. But what do we do? Kevin O'Connell calls a brilliant device play call. This is Kevin O'Connell at his best, where he's listening and say, okay, we need to change things up a little bit. Let's go big, let's go heavy, but let's do a little Kevin O'Connell twist where a fake handoff up the middle and everyone buys it because you're going heavy. Everyone's thinking you're going to run the ball. And that was just a great fake by JJ McCarthy. No one there, scores a touchdown. And it's kind of funny because he does the gritty on the way in, and he said in his post game press conference that he did that in practice, and Kevin O'Connell told him, "Don't do that in the game. We're not doing that in the game." And JJ said that kind of made him want to do it more, and so he did it. And he said he's gonna get knocked for that. He's gonna get marked off for that. But it was fun, and I thought that was hilarious that they have that back and forth together already. That was funny. Um, but the play call in this game was just awesome. That, like I said, that third quarter drive was awesome. And on that drive, we're in the red zone, like on the 3 yard line. We call a pass play to Jefferson. We're trying to get him involved, and I'll get to him. Incomplete pass, and then all of a sudden, our next play, we run the ball. But again, it's a beautiful play call. We don't just give it to Jordan Mason. We don't just give it to Aaron Jones, or everyone's expecting it. It's a quick fullback dive. No one saw it coming. Walks in the end zone, touchdown. I was like, man, this offense is awesome when the play caller can call these plays really well. And he was doing that. Give credit to KOC. That was awesome. Um, Now to JJ McCarthy. So, very first drive, hand the ball off. Aaron Jones gets like 6 yards. It's 2nd and 4. All right, let's get a first down and give credit to the Cowboys. They had a great corner blitz that we didn't pick up. And I think it was Overshown, I believe it was, jumped up, tipped up all. What McCarthy should have done, and he's basically a rookie, he's 22 years old. What he should have done is maybe pump faked it or ran away, threw the ball away because there was no way that ball was getting to his receiver with Overshown right there in his face. Maybe a sidearm, but the way he threw it, there was no way. That was absolutely going to get tipped, or Overshown was going to just pick it off. And so McCarthy shouldn't have thrown it the way he did. It's a learning experience, but he tried to get it over him before he jumped. Of course, it didn't work. Overshown tipped it, and then McCarthy tried to tip it down, but instead he tipped it kind of forward some, right into the arms of Quentin Williams, and he picks it off right away. And that kind of play for a young quarterback who's struggled most of the year, coming off a good game, but struggled most of the year, that could truly set a tone for that game. But the cameras caught like were showing his face after that pick. He was just smiling and laughing. And that's just the way McCarthy is. He just loves this game so much. He is a student of this game, and nothing's going to phase him like that. He's having so much fun out there. He's like, all right, well played. We'll get you next time. And he absolutely did. The next drive, we marched down the field. We scored a touchdown. It was awesome. Like you said, McCarthy was 15 for 24, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns. That one reception, which he gets a little fault for, but it's not like he read something wrong and threw a bad throw. It was just a bad circumstance he was in that he could have done better, but you can't really fault him too much for that. He had an 85.6 QBR, 108 pass rating. He had a better QBR and pass rating than the phenomenal Dak Prescott. Just saying. I'm just saying. And everyone's been like all these commentators and all these fans they were calling for him to be done, saying that we need veteran competition next year. I'm thinking, are you serious? A veteran backup, yes, because we don't have a good backup if Carson Wentz doesn't come back. I can agree with a backup because McCarthy's been injured some. That's a concern, but not competition where we're bringing another starter. What are we talking about? McCarthy needs reps. We need to give him a full year. And it's just been this weird narrative like we should trade for Mac Jones. All right, you want 9 wins and bounce out the playoffs first round? That's what you're going to get with Mac Jones. Is Mac Jones a better quarterback than McCarthy right now? Yes, but his ceiling is capped, 100% capped. McCarthy's isn't, and is much cheaper. You don't have to give up draft capital. It's just a I don't understand people. I just don't understand them. But in this game, McCarthy was just dropping dimes. There was that 4th and 3 that he threw that dime to Jalen Naylor back shoulder. That was probably his best throw of the day. I was like, whew, that was beautiful. And then there was one, I think it was either a third or fourth down again, that it was just a dart to TJ Hawkinson over the middle, and it was a tough catch. Good job, Hawkinson, catching that ball because he was firing that missile in there. Um, the only thing that just seems like it's not quite getting there is his connection with Jefferson. Jefferson had three. I think he's the leader in almost touchdowns this year because he had three almost touchdowns this game. There was the one which was a touchdown that got called back because of that penalty. And when the play was like starting to be ran before a snap, there was a lot of confusion. I was like, oh, I don't know what's going on. This doesn't look good. Like TJ Hawkinson and Jalen Naylor were pointing at each other like, go that way, go that way. I don't know which way I'm going. And then they snapped the ball, and right away the flag was thrown. I was like, yeah, there was something procedural going on. So that sucked for Jefferson because you can tell he was so defeated after he caught it. He was about to start celebrating, and he saw the flag. He was like, ugh. And then there was another drive. He's open in the corner end zone, and McCarthy hits him right in the hands, but he throws that 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and Jefferson just can't quite squeeze it in. That's on Jefferson. I know that McCarthy threw that ball probably too hard, but Jefferson needs to catch that. He's getting paid $35 million, dollars, and that ball goes right through his hands. There are some plays like last week where that's a catch that Jefferson normally makes, but you not making it because it was tough. There was defenders all over him, and it was a little underthrown. I don't blame him for that one. This one, you need to catch that ball, and he knows it. It went right through his hands. Another easy touchdown right there. And then the third one, where Jefferson was going like on a deep crosser, and he was wide open on the right side of the field, and McCarthy's winding up, about to throw that ball, get it to him wide open, and Jefferson had to beat one guy. There was a safety above him that if he beats him, he scores. He might not beat him. He might get tackled for like a 30-yard gain, but that's still a big gainer. But right before McCarthy finishes his delivery, finishes his follow through, I think it's Kenny Clark just drills him. And so he doesn't get his arm all the way through on his follow through. And so the ball is just that much inaccurate. And Jefferson just gets his fingertips on it, but can't quite get all the way extended to pull it in. If McCarthy didn't get drilled, that's probably an easy pitch and catch completion, and Jefferson might score. So Jefferson is the leader of almost touchdowns and almost receptions. I think he had like 9 targets this game. 8 targets. He had eight
Eight
targets,
targets.
only 2 catches for 22 yards. And a lot of those were like that close to being completed. And there was a comment that was made, which I thought was phenomenal way to look at this, is Minnesota scored 34 points. Their offense looked very smooth without the connection with Justin Jefferson. Imagine what's going to look like when that connection does happen, because it's not if, it's when. It's gonna happen. It's close. It's just not quite there yet. And when that connection happens, watch out because McCarthy already has a great connection with Jalen Naylor. Jalen Naylor had 2 really good touchdowns this game. He already has a good connection with Jordan Addison, where he threw that bomb, that 55-yard bomb to him, to where again he was getting pressure in his face. If he didn't get pressure in his face, that's probably a touchdown. But it was a little underthrown. But Addison went and caught it, then tried to score and got caught from behind. But McCarthy, he just has that it factor. He has that attitude, that swagger, that personality that everyone wants to they just get magnetized toward. They just come around him and
Mhm.
just love playing with him. And there was one little nugget that I was watching during the game. I was like, that's awesome. That just shows what kind of guy this dude is. And he's 22 years old. He's just going to get better. But before the game, this is an away game, not your stadium, not your fans. This is an away game. And he's in the tunnel. He's dapping up and thanking all of those first responders when they're coming out to like do their little presentation or their little walk with their flag, whatever they were going to do before the game started. He is the only one there, but he is in the tunnel with his helmet on, just handshaking all of them, saying, "Thank you for what you did. I appreciate you guys. Thank you, thank you." He is a wonderful human being. and he's got a great attitude. All he does is want to learn and improve. And once he understands this game, the speed of this game, watch out because he he just has everything you want as far as a personality. He needs to figure out how to play football better, which he's not there yet. I'll be the first to say he's got a lot to improve on. But as far as the person, the leadership, and the attitude, he's got that in spades. And I love seeing that. There's a lot of quarterbacks in this league that have talent, but they don't have that attitude you want on your team. I mean, a
Hmm.
great example I think is Jordan Love. He's got amazing talent, but his leadership and his just drive and his personality to win you the game with his will, I just don't think Jordan Love has that. He's got talent for days. He's one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league, but his it factor, his leadership, his quarterback just overall facade just isn't there. And I think McCarthy has that in spades. He just got to learn how to play football. And I think he's going to continue to do that. We got the Giants next week, another good game to improve and learn because they're sold, they're done for the season. They want nothing to do with the rest of this year. And then we get to play spoiler. We get the Lions on Christmas Day, where I don't know who the Lions play next week, but um, they lost this week to the Rams, so they're 8-6. So if they lose next week, they'd be 8-7. 8-7 playing the Vikings in a must-win scenario. That'd be
Steelers. They played the
hilarious.
Steelers.
I mean, that's not a gimme. I would say they're favored. I would pick them to win, and in our picks tomorrow, I probably will. But that's not a gimme game. The Steelers are a tough team to beat. So if the Steelers pull that off and the Lions are 8-7, we could eliminate them from playoff contention. That'd be hilarious. We already beat the Lions at Detroit. Now we get them at home. So McCart, the rest of these next three games is just continue to
You're
stack good
such a
games.
Lions hater. It's hilarious,
I'm not a Lion.
Andrew.
I'm a Packers hater, and I'm a Bears and Lions annoyer. Like they
Disliker.
annoy me. There you go,
Okay.
disliker. That's fine. I can go with disliker. Um, and then the last game of the season is the Packers, which the Packers defense just, that's horrible. You don't want to wish injury on anyone, but losing Michael Parsons is big. That's really big because in that game at Lambeau, Michael Parsons was wrecking shop and McCarthy had no time to throw. And Michael Parsons wasn't getting the sacks, but he was causing two, three guys to block him when everyone else was singled up getting home.
Hmm.
Without Michael Parsons, that defense is totally different. And so,
Right.
last game of the year, McCarthy could have another game where he can stack these games, stack good games. So, it's going to be great to see. I love what I see from McCarthy. Nine is here. Nine is here. He is our guy. He is going to lead us. And really quickly, there was this narrative before this game that Joe Burrow wants out of Cincinnati, which he might, because there was a press conference where he was like, "Yeah, I'm not having fun anymore. I don't know what it is, but he said multiple times that this isn't fun." And and there was this narrative that if he wants out, Minnesota should offer to trade for him. And I'm okay with that thought process, depending on what you have to send out. And the offers that Vikings fans were offering were like, this is crazy. There was packages of 3 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks, JJ McCarthy and Dallas Turner. I'm like, what are we doing? We're sitting off everything to get an expensive quarterback who is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. He's awesome, but we wouldn't have a team left. This would just be almost like the Bengals 2.0. And it's just if the package is right, if it's like 2 first-round picks and JJ McCarthy and maybe 2 seconds or something in that realm, I could hear it. But the way McCarthy's playing now, I think we just need to roll with that, keep our picks, hopefully draft better next season. That's been Quasi's difficulty is drafting. But if we can draft better, plug a couple little holes here, McCarthy can develop. Next year we have a fourth place schedule. We have teams like the Titans, we have the Saints, we have the Cardinals, we have the Giants, which is actually the Giants next year could be a little sneaky team because they're going to
Hmm.
get healthy and have good draft picks. But we have all these teams that are pretty poor this year. We have that next year, and the toughest schedule we have is our own division. We have the Bills and Patriots next year. That'll be tough. But outside that, it's just our division. So our schedule next year's line up to be pretty decent. McCarthy develops, this team gets healthier. Who knows what can happen next year? So this narrative that we get to go after Joe Burrow, I hear you, but I don't want to give up the farm to pick up a quarterback whenever we could have one. We could have one in JJ McCarthy. So that's my takes of the game. Great win by the Vikings. Basically eliminated the Cowboys. Love what I saw from them on offense, and JJ McCarthy is starting to turn a corner here.
Andrew, I was just looking at it because I was curious who's going to need a quarterback next year. And teams that were mentioned were the Saints, the Jets, the Raiders, the Cardinals, the Panthers, the Rams, and the Colts. The part that's interesting, we can almost instantly eliminate the Rams because I had forgotten about the fact that the Falcons stupidly traded their first round pick. So now the Rams are going to have I'm trying to
Top
think of
10
how high
pick.
that, yeah, that's got to
Yeah,
be
right
top
now
10.
it's
I'm just trying,
nine. Yeah, right now
yeah.
it's nine, I think.
What a dumb trade. I still can't believe the Rams or the Falcons made that trade. I mean,
Yeah.
wow. I don't even know what to think about that, but I'm trying to think of teams that make sense for Joe Burrow. Probably right now, and I don't think he would want as the Raiders. I think that's probably destination number one.
Well, he has a no trade clause, so he gets to decide where he goes. So he's
Right.
going to say no there. He's
I'm
going to say,
just saying that's
to me, your first thought, the Rams make sense because they have the nine overall pick right now, and that's probably very tasty to the Bengals. Like, oh, we can get a top 10 pick instead of trading a first round pick from the Vikings, who are probably going to have number 14. Like, okay, that's okay. Nine or
well,
eight sounds a lot better.
I think if they're going to do that, you'd have to give up both first round picks.
Oh yeah, you have to give up at least two or three first round picks and give up
Hmm.
probably a second or a player. But if Matthew Stafford retires this year, that makes a ton of sense. Give up both your first rounds next year, which are, I mean, you want picks now instead of later, and then your first the following year. That's where the conversation would start, is the nine overall and then like your 30 overall, whatever it's going to be. And then your first the following year. That's where the conversation starts and see where you build from there. But I think the
Hmm.
Rams make a ton of sense.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a weird spot right now with the Rams because it makes sense if Stafford doesn't come back.
Yes, if Stafford comes back, then that doesn't happen. That conversation's done.
So that's the part. And I'm curious about the Panthers. I feel like that one I understand.
Eh,
I'm just curious.
I think they're more than just a quarterback away from being a true
I
contender.
agree with you. I agree with you on that part. The Colts would make sense, but the Colts have nothing. They have nothing to offer to the
Yeah, because they traded their first round picks for Sauce Gardner.
yeah, and so that window looks shut. The
Hmm.
Cardinals would, man, I don't know where Burrow goes where he could be happy besides the Rams. That the options in my
Yeah.
head that make sense, that is probably it. Um, unless and this is a big if the Commanders somehow thought that they'd be in a better spot with Joe Burrow instead of Jaden Daniels. Like I'm trying to think if there's a team like that. I don't think the Vikings make sense. I think that you'd believe that JJ McCarthy's the future. I could see the
Hmm.
Commanders being in a spot where they're like the injury bug came back. It's a problem. Let's not worry about it. Let's just go ahead and ship off Daniels now and get Burrow a more consistent quarterback. Because the Commanders could be a team where you could really argue that they are very close to being contenders if they have a few things that go a different way for them. So that maybe is a team, but that's a stretch. So you brought that point. I'm like, man, who makes sense there? The Rams for sure make sense, but it's a huge if because if Stafford wants to come back, then that question's over. Like there's no
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
window is shut.
What
Um,
about the Dolphins?
Now that would be interesting, but you want to avoid train wrecks if you're Joe
Yeah.
Burrow. I
Yeah, but they have a good offense. They have a good offense overall. They have an offensive coach. And you know that they're out on Tua over there in Miami.
No, no, no. This is the thing. If I'm going to Miami, Mike is gone.
Or he's demoted to the OC.
No, he's not doing that. That
No.
doesn't work. That you can't go from being the listen. The only time that works, Andrew, is if you're watching Remember the Titans. That's the only time where the emotion works and everyone's able to like come together and actually do something for the betterment of the team. That won't happen with McDaniels. I think that he's gonna. man, the Dolphins just, I understand what you're saying, but that just, who's the head coach? Who's the guy that you have to come
Hmm.
in and make that team whole? It's not Taylor. I think Taylor needs to pack his bags. He has
Yep.
done that
I
bad of
think
a
he's
job
done
as
this
their
year.
coach this
He's
year.
out. He's out at beginning of next year. He's not coaching the Bengals. He's out. He's got to be out.
Um, man, I'm trying to think in my head who that other coach, Kubiak from Seattle, Clint Kubiak. That could be an option to think about. I don't think the offensive woes that the Seattle Seahawks are experiencing are Kubiak's fault. I think it's more so to do with, we've talked about this, your quarterback has a ceiling and you're hitting that ceiling frequently. That's
Hmm.
my personal take on it, but it's the JSN offense. And when JSN's not going, there's no offense. That's
Hmm.
that's been the Seattle Seahawks
And
problem.
sadly enough for JSN, I don't think he's going to break that record now.
Dude, it's crazy. He should have broken that record. And if he was with a quarterback that was able to be more
Hmm.
consistent, it would have happened. Um, I'm really shocked at how much that offense has struggled. I mean, like just for context, in 3 out of the past 5 games, Darnold has scored 0 touchdowns. That
Hmm.
is bad. That's just not good. I know maybe the numbers aren't necessarily saying it. Well, those games aren't good. I mean, 45, 67, 84 passer ratings. That's not good. I mean, that is the Colts, the
Hmm.
Vikings, and the Rams. So they're not gimmies, but you got to play better than that.
Yep.
Um, if you're planning on going anywhere, I don't know. I,
Yeah, and I'll give Seahawks credit on this. The contract they signed him 3 years, only the first year was fully guaranteed, so they can get out next year if there's someone available. So maybe Joe Burrow goes to the Seahawks.
yeah, that's a fair point. Maybe you do put Joe Burrow there, but what do you trade? I mean, that trade would be insane what you'd have to give up in order to
Yeah,
get Joe Burrow.
it would be Sam Darnold, three firsts and 3 seconds or something like that. And for the Seahawks, do you say no to that? Because you got a good defense, you got some good pass catchers. Rashid Shaheed's looking decent. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
I don't know. If you do three first 3 seconds, I want to like split the contract like 30%, 70.
And honestly, his contract isn't horrible as far as what the receiving team would be because the way that contracts are, those like that signing bonus is already on the Bengals. So his cap hit is going to be, from what I was hearing, like the eighth most expensive quarterback, something like that, which Joe Burrow as the eighth most expensive quarterback, that's fine. I'll
Not
take that
terrible.
because
Yeah,
I mean, he's probably the third best quarterback in the league, or he's in the top three. He's in this conversation at least, and you're paying him like eight, nine money. That's fine.
interesting. This is fascinating. I didn't mean to jump us off the Viking ship, but you brought that up, and I'm like, wow, I've
Oh
not
no, the
heard
Viking
this.
ship has sailed. Viking ship's on the water. We're enjoying. We're blowing our gallows horn. We're good to go.
Well, it's so ridiculous, man, the amount of hate that JJ McCarthy got. And I
Hmm.
know we need to wrap up. I am so glad, Andrew, that McCarthy had himself a day. I do think it's hilarious, by the way. You hate on Jordan Love as much as Steven hates on JJ McCarthy. Like that is
It
the
makes sense.
epitome. That is the
It makes
epitome of
sense.
a rival. I
Hmm.
still love the fact that I got that screenshot of Steven picking with the confidence of 15 that the Cowboys would beat the Vikings. That made me laugh
Hmm.
so hard when I saw
Hmm.
that. I was like, this is too good to not share. This is beautiful. But
Hmm.
yeah, man, big win by your Vikings. And
Yep.
last question for me: do you want them to get the 9-8 record? Do you want them to have a winning season,
I
or
don't
does it
think the
not
record
matter?
matters anymore. I
Okay,
want JJ McCarthy to continue to play well. Have a game like this every single game. If it's a L, that's fine. If it's a win, that's fine. But have a game like this where you're moving the ball, maybe you have an interception, whatever, but you have confidence and the offense is smooth, it's running, it's looking good. And if we can knock out the Lions or knock out the Packers, get in the one seed or win the division, whatever, awesome. But all that matters is McCarthy's development looking good the rest of these 3 games. That's all that matters. If we end up 6-10 or 6-11, doesn't matter. If we end up 9-8, doesn't matter because we're just going to be going between like the 10 pick and the 14 pick, which that doesn't matter between those spots. If we're talking about like the eighth pick and the 15 pick, okay, that matters. Let's lose. But we don't have any shot at the eight pick. It's between like 10 and 14. It doesn't matter between those slots. We'll get a good player there. So just develop McCarthy. If we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. Just be competitive and have some fun.
Yeah. Well, I like it, man. It's fun. It's nice to be able to have podcasts where we're both excited that our teams won. So
Yep.
fingers crossed that we'll have another great week of football ahead of us.
Yes. Yes. I mean, honestly, we have a good chance of both winning next week against the Giants and the Commanders. So we could have another episode where we're just thrilled about how well our team played.
Just don't jinx my Eagles, Andrew. Don't jinx them.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Well, thank you guys for joining us in this episode of the Gridiron Grind with Andrew and Lance. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and we will see you next time.
We'll see everybody.